Welcome back to some more Create Integrated. Today I've got some pretty big plans. I think I've come up with an idea for what I'm going to do with this area right here, and I want to create a central trading area. And now you heard that right. I have all of these factories, but we don't have a place for the employees of said factory. And so today I want to get a villager area set up. Also get villager breeding started, so I have plenty of villagers for this task. And I also want to try out a fairly new mod, and that is going to be the trading floor. And so today we should be able to get automatic trading up and running. I have no idea how I'm going to do that just yet, but we'll figure it out as we go. First thing though, I probably should nab a few villagers. Simple boink. Yes, a good old boop, and I'm gonna ignore you, but I will take your friends. Beep and boop. Now that I've yoinked a few of the locals, I can now put them inside of a breeder and get them working hard. Now I have a way that I really love to set up villager breeders, and we should be able to easily handle this within the Easy Villagers mod. The only thing we can't do is set up auto traders within this mod, so most of these things are ready to go. So that is going to include just a simple breeder, for example. So we're gonna need a farmer, a breeder, which just requires a bed, and then we also want an incubator to be able to, well, raise our young villagers to adulthood quickly. Now with this, I like to work backwards. We're going to have a barrel that is going to store our villagers, and then we'll have a chute. Then we need an incubator because this is where the villagers are going to turn into adults. Then we're going to need another chute, and we're going to send from a breeder, and then we're going to have another chute, and then on top of that, we're going to have a farmer. The farmer is going to be creating carrots, for example. So now this tower right here should provide us with an infinite amount of villagers. So I'm going to plant my carrots in here. I'm going to throw in a villager like that. And so now that is a farmer that is just going to passively farm this crop over time. And then in here, we just need to have two separate villagers. These are going to be the villagers that are going to be doing the breeding. And then we just leave the incubator alone. This is just simply waiting for carrots. As soon as it has those, it's going to start, well, producing baby villagers. And if we really want to be weird, we can click the chutes to show them going through the chutes. I don't know why that feels weird, but it does. And to shed some light onto all of this, we'll definitely place a lamp up here. Perfect. And after a short period of time, there we go. There's a baby villager that is currently inside of here. And oddly enough, I seen it actually go through the chute. I didn't think it was going to show up that well. It was very clear. So now that I have a supply of villagers in the works, this is where I want to test out some things. So we do have our easy villagers. I have a couple of here to play with, but I want to test out this trading depot. And this is from the Create Trading Floor mod. What this is supposed to do is if we have, like, for example, a villager that is on the fletching table and we place this next to it, it should be able to trade for us automatically, which is kind of cool. But does it work if a villager is sitting here on a seat? Because I would really prefer if the villager was stationed and not just free roaming. Okay, so the villager is here, and we do have the trading floor here. And okay, trading depot contents. I don't know how we specify specifically what we're trading. Let's say we want to trade sticks. So I have quite a few sticks. Ultimately, I want to trade flint with this guy, but I put this on here and it's not doing anything directly. Do I have to put the thing on the depot that I want to trade? Okay, it could also be that this guy is just sitting here on a seat and not actually right next to this thing. Or it just waits until I'm not recording and then actually does the trade. That was interesting. Okay, so it did work after removing the filter. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so it says, yeah, emeralds for sticks. And I just keep putting it on there and it's going to keep doing it. I wonder if there is a limit, though, to like how many times it can do this. Oh, and it is leveling it up, too. So now we have flint trades. Oh, that's great. Huh. So now what if the stick value, so this is at 32 still, and it is consuming, and is it giving me 2 emeralds? We're at 8 emeralds now. It did give me 2 emeralds. Okay, which is what I should expect to get. Very cool. All right, now what if I have like an odd amount of flint? Now this is 26, and I put this on here. it's not going to take all of the flint, right? Oh, okay, okay. So it does leave some flint left over. And if I click more flint on here, it's going to add to that total. It actually picked up the 12. And it's not, okay, giving me this back. Interesting. But you know what? I am actually really excited that the villagers do work while setting on seats, because I was trying to figure out how I could set this up in a more organic fashion, and having them on the seat makes this so much nicer. We don't have to worry about them wandering around. Now, it appears this filter slot down here is to, for example, set it to what the output is, not necessarily what the input is. This is the trade output filter. Kind of interesting. So like if you wanted it to trade for bows and you put emeralds in, you could actually specify specifically, hey, make sure you give me either arrows or you give me bows. That makes a lot of sense. Now, let's say I have a funnel here and I want to trade a bunch of my flint that I currently have, you know, just kind of laying about, or we make a flint farm, for example. And I put this in here. This will then, okay, feed out. It doesn't work exactly like a depot, so that's kind of nice. It's going to probably fill up to a stack. I'm just wondering, after it does get enough and hits 26 and does the trade, perfect, is it going to keep doing that trade? It does keep going up, so that is a good sign. That makes automation so much easier here. But yes, I do have to figure something out with the emerald, because we will have to pull off the emerald immediately. So perfect. Now we've just got to figure out the logistics for this. Like, how are we going to route items around? How are we going to specify, hey, pull off certain items, and so on and so forth. But why exactly do we need villager auto trading? Well, that's a good question. And I think the best answer is going to be right here. Yes, we have an apple trade. I don't think it's a guarantee, but we could get villagers, farmers specifically, that trade us apples. And apples are going to be really helpful for something very special, and that is the corium. Okay, so how does this actually align? Well, corium, we could get chorus fruit, not from farming chorus, but we can actually get it from using the dragon head and transforming apples. And so over here, I have a dragon head, and something we can actually do with the dragon head that I think would be kind of funny is we can put like a redstone block underneath it, and it'll actually make the dragon's mouth look like it's opening and closing. But anyways, we'll put this down here. Does that actually make the dragon? Well, the trap door is kind of in the way, but it does make it go up and down. Anyways, that's besides the point. Whenever we drop apples through this setup, this will convert it into chorus, and this will allow us to automate. So the ultimate goal probably will be to farm for apples automatically. And we do get them from our tree farm, but I'm going to need probably more than what our tree farm produces. And you know what? I don't think it'll be a bad idea to have like some of these modular setups for the villagers here. And we can create some like flint auto traders, and anything that we need, we can maybe set up a villager trader just like this. And we just got to figure out, how are we going to make this duplicatable? And so how many villagers are we going to need? What's our setup going to look like for automatically generating flint? There's a lot of variables here. Now, something like this could work really, really well. Like, we could have the input that goes in this side, and then the output comes out the other side, or we could do vice versa, where this is the input side and then the right side is the output side, which is how I usually like to do it, but it really can be in any way. Now, as far as that like modular design goes, this actually seems really, really nice. So we can have some sort of inventory or belt line that feeds into here. This will provide like flint, for example, and then the flint will then be processed into emeralds, and we can use a brass funnel to be able to filter out specifically emeralds. So we'll place this here, and then we'll put those in here. And then what we can do is use a drain to simply send the items from this belt over into this belt. And this is kind of a cool mechanic, but we can take a funnel like so and send that over. So that will then take those items and feed that into this, and we'll collect those items over here, and that should go in no problem whatsoever. And then out over here, this is just going to take out the items, for example, apples in this case, which is what I'm trying to automate. So in this case, flint goes in, apples go in, and all should be well. Okay, so let's go ahead and just drop in some flint, and let's see if this works. Well, it's going to kind of work, because notice the villagers, they just kind of stop working for some reason. Like, I have a sneaking suspicion that it is something to do with there being not a solid block like in the middle. So let's just take a log, like any type of log for right now, And I don't want them to be able to see each other, because for some reason they are like disconnecting themselves from their workstation. They could even be like looking at the other villager's workstation. Unsure what is causing all of this, but they should be making noise. They are currently not. So I'm going to take away their workstations temporarily and then reapply their workstations and see if that works. That one is linked up now. Beautiful. This one's now linked up. And so flint is all we need to try and get this thing up and running. So I'm going to toss some flint onto the belt. Okay, there's some flint. That needs to be changed. There we go. Flint is now on the depot. At the moment, it's at sticks for emeralds. Unsure why. And it's kind of locked there at the moment. That is not the trade that we want. Okay, after a brief moment, it finally started picking up and is now actually working. Okay, so it just takes a little bit of time, and then once it actually realizes all of the stuff is there, it finally started working. And then over here, like I said, we should see those emeralds when they do get processed moving over. Okay, so this is one of our first issues. Interesting. So when it's funneling like this, it does not send like and constantly refill this. I wonder though if like a brass funnel would change this. That does not. So we're still left with that very specific amount unless we changed this to exactly 26 and the amount that was actually being sent on the belt was 26. I bet that that would work. You know what? This could possibly be a solution here. So I'll use a vertical gearbox. We'll get a mechanical arm set up, and the items should be able to go under the mechanical arm and land on the depot. So, if I toss down some flint here, that should kick things back up. I love how they just stopped working again. They were making noise. But yes, this now says 50 flint. There's 64 here. If it did the trade, we just want to make sure that this will then pick up a new set and put it on here, but it also may encounter the same issue that we're experiencing already. Now, also, I'm starting to think that these guys stop working after a certain time of day, and this may be that time of day, and the trading floor may have these predetermined time of day like values that are probably based off the standard like vanilla like trading times. You know, and all I had to do was hold shift on this, and it says, yeah, trades with villagers. Note that villagers will only trade during normal working times of day. I mean, which is kind of good. I was really wanting to work them to the bone, you know, and never give them a break. But you know what? It is what it is. So yes, I do want to make sure and test this. So this just started working again. And okay, it does seem like this is not doing it either. Okay, so we are still going to have to figure it another way. But I did go ahead and simplify this whole area a little bit easier. Yeah, I can just send it directly over from a drain. So let's go ahead. We'll remove this for right now. I set this to exactly 26. I do want to see if this will allow items to be flung onto the depot and keep a stock in here. If I remove this, will this pull the exact 26? Okay, it left 12. Oh, because when this mode is changed, that's right, you can't define a very specific item value. No. Now, my only other option here, I mean, at this point, I mean, I could probably limit the amount, but I did notice that it was allowing it to drop into this when dropped from the top. So maybe that is ultimately the way to go. So I'll do some more flint. It just seems weird, though, that you can't apply more from the side. Unsure why that logistically doesn't work, but we can send it into the buffer here, and then this is going to fill it slowly. What we could do, though, is actually use a brass funnel to possibly keep this fully in stocked, or it could just be that the brass funnel is the primary issue. So let's remove this. No, that will just constantly keep 64 in stock, it looks like. Yeah, that's so much faster. And then over here, look at that. It's keeping the apples in stock. Okay, so now that we essentially have a blueprint for what this is going to be, I mean, we could make this one block smaller maybe, and we could even set this up a little bit differently. So like maybe instead of a belt line here, we can pull from the actual apple area, and we can just pull this directly into a barrel. to keep these symmetrical. I will say though, their working time, man, they do not work for very long, that's for sure. But you know what? Now that we have this design, what I want to do is I want to copy this as a schematic, and this will be villager trader. So we'll do villager trader, and it will automatically do all of the underscoring and everything for us. And now we have this schematic saved, so that way we can place this kind of wherever we want. Okay, so now that the villagers are sort of set up and we can kind of visualize how that's going to look, and we now have a schematic for placing it in, now I want to figure something else out. How are we going to start all of these? And anything we want to trade that is going to be in this little town, how are we going to make sure we supply it with emeralds? Well, that's where flint is really going to be very powerful. So I think making a flint factory to be able to produce like significant amounts of flint would be a good idea for this area. This is where I want to make like a modular flint farm. Let's go ahead and figure this out together. We're going to have a belt line. I don't know how long the belt line is going to need to be, but we are going to want to have a mechanical generator on the back. This is going to be where we're going to get our cobblestone from. So the cobblestone is going to come into here, and then we definitely know that we're going to need some crushing wheels. So I'll take a couple of crushing wheels here. And then we need gearboxes for all of this too. Shafts are going to go in here. I like to leave a block gap so that way we have that going in here. So this will be just fine. And then we'll take those, convert those over. Flip around. Beautiful. Crushing wheels are going to go right on top. Now, this is where things are going to be a little bit different. Let's grab some scaffolding to make this building process easier. And then we're going to extend our belt by using a belt to do this. And for right now, I bet 8 of these millstones should be enough to potentially produce enough flint. But how are we going to do this? This is going to go down the middle. We probably want millstones to like start and collect and maybe zigzag. So we'll have enough. Let's see. That is 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Maybe we'll have a set of 4 here. And we'll keep going on just like so. Beautiful. All of the millstones, we have 8 of those connected just like this. And then these are going to need to be output as well, so we're going to need like some sort of way to combine them up. Now what if I use weighted ejectors to shoot all of the stuff up here? I think that would be kind of fun. So we can have a weighted ejector here. It's going to throw it onto the belt. We just got to make sure that whenever we send items out here, that we make sure that it's only sending a certain amount at a time, so that way we keep a buffer to limit the jam that will happen on this belt. Now, I have no idea how schematics handle the weighted ejector, but we do have to define their location on every one we place. So this is going to be right here, for example, and we'll just have a funnel send off the side. I've gone ahead and got all of the funnels placed on here. I don't have them defined yet, but I'm trying to figure out how am I going to power the millstone. So I've got all of this set up. It's powered. We've also got to get this belt powered. And I was thinking we get the power transferred through here, and then we just use an encased chain drive to create that directional rotation. And that'll allow us to power our mills just by simply putting a cog on the side. And then to get all of these powered in line, well, just using a simple gearbox connected right up here, we'll get all of them spinning. And then the mills will be up and running as soon as we put these on here. Then to make sure these belts are spinning in the same direction, which I definitely want, there we go. We have the belts sending, and then all we have to do is power this on, and we should start to see a whole bunch of flinging happening and flint being thrown all over the place. So we'll make sure to send out of here. Just like that, gravel is going to go in, and the goal is to see flint being flung out. Oh, that is good to see. Of course, we do want to make sure that this is set to, let's say 16 to be built up. And so before it actually does fling, we want to make sure that it will do this when 16 builds up in here. And is it going to do that when it sends it out? Okay. So with 16 in the filter, it did not actually accept it. And if I set 16 here, it also does not accept it. Oh, interesting. So I guess in this case, it is going to need to, it's going to have to stay at that individual value. Or can we set this to wait until 16 builds up before flinging? This might be the case. Aha! So yes, we set these to 16. So now, yet again, I am going to make a schematic of this. That way I can share it with you guys. So be sure to pop on over to the Discord. I will have these schematics posted in the schematics channel. And you can find those linked down in the description below. Now this setup is almost perfect. All we got to do is slap down a trapdoor here. And I'm going to place in some scaffolds for right now. And then we need to place a single limited barrel. And this is going to be my storage of choice for this. So that way we can void off excess, and that way we'll have a constant supply, and we should be able to use frog ports for this. Now, inside of this limited barrel, after getting it upgraded, I'm going to put the void upgrade and then a couple of stack upgrades in here. That should allow it to hold quite a lot when it goes into this filter slot. And so, yeah, 300,000 of these. That is going to be more than enough, I think. I may even take one of these out. I don't even think I want that many. Now, over here, what we want to do is void overflow. That is going to be the primary thing we want to happen. And so we'll set this to allow and then place this in. And then with it in void overflow mode, it should only void this when it goes over the 49,000. And beautiful. There it is. And the number is going to keep increasing. And by the way, we can make this even faster by enchanting all of these, which I do plan on doing. Now we've just got to place in the villagers. Yeah, I want to build like little houses for each one of these. So these little depots right here, I do want to make sure that they are in a pretty decent place, but I also want them to be in line with like a chain conveyor, for example, that may be passing through all of the buildings. Now, just in case you didn't know, if you're using a schematic cannon, you can place in a clipboard and it'll build a material list. And it'll check the inventory that's in here and tell you, hey, what are some items that you have and what are you missing? For example, I'm missing barrels, like the composter, the fletching table, for example, for this setup. But now with all of the stuff in there, we just hit ready, and it should start placing all of the stuff in, just like you see here. For a little bit of schematicing in, there we go. We have all of this. Now, after looking at this a bit more, and if I plan on using frog ports, I may not even need like these belts or rotational energy. We just need to be able to get chains routed through this. So we're going to need some way to route some chains around, whether that is extending some chains over into the building, but we do need chains to be able to access all of our flint from our frog network. So here's what I'm thinking. We take our chain drive and we link it into the position where the belts are at. And so we'll carry this here, and then I'm going to carry another one over to this side. Like that. Then carry this one over here. And then I'll just have to figure out and work the build into the position of these things. I think that will be the best way to go about it. There's that one. And then also we need one over here. So we'll just plop in and beautiful. And you know what? Instead of having this one connected, what we could do is just connect this right here over to this one. And yes, that looks a little bit cleaner. And so here we go again with the frog logistics. So we do need a packager on here. We do need a stock link on this as well, because this is the inventory we're going to be reading. And we want to do a keep so much in stock over here. So we'll come up with a name, and then all of these are going to be connected to that basic network. We can just label them like 1, 2, 3, and 4. But they're all going to be reading from this barrel. Now, just to recap, we are going to take factory gauges and we are going to right click on here to link them up. And then on the actual packagers that are connected to the inventory, this is where we want to request all of our flint. And because I did link all of these in bulk, they are all linked to that same network over there. Beautiful. So once these are in place, then we can actually start to label these. So for this, we're going to say, hey, pull in some flint. But then we need to give this an actual send to destination. And so whatever we put in here should be fine. We can say village and then underscore flint and then underscore. I'm going to put a number here because I am going to keep all of these package locations separate upon their request. So now this one is set to 1. Our frog port up here, I also want to set that to this destination. So we have that same destination and it's going to be set to receive. This one, by the way, this frog, I want to set it to only send. And now, as soon as I bring this amount up, we can say, hey, keep a stack, for example, in stock. That should perform a request. And then that now picked it up and sent that stack of flint inside of here. Now, the same thing is going to happen on this. I'm going to actually label this one 2 because I'm just counting 1, 2. And then the cool part is once we actually have the identifier in this one, we can just select flint 2 because it's directly connected. And then yet again, I'll say keep a stack. That should send another stack. And then this one now has some flint. Now that all of this is up and requested, this is when we need to get our villagers in place. So I'm going to get this bad boy in here and this one over here. And the goal is that this will start working. I may have to set the initial amount. So like take this out and then place it in to get the trades started. But that should empty. That should dump the contents out into this. At least you would hope it would. There's that. For some reason, that's not pulling in either. Yeah, I don't know. This is very strange. Earlier, it was working with the brass, but now I'm going to have to set it to funnel. For some reason, it also doesn't work with the brass. Now it's working, though. It is putting the stuff in. That should send out. There it goes. And then I guess with this, we'll just have to set this to potentially a funnel. As I do want to make sure that this does pull the ingredients. Maybe the only thing it can actually pull is the apples. No, it's not even trying to pull the apples now. You know what? I know that this will work. So I'll take some drains and we'll just use a brass funnel off the side here. There we go, to send the items out. And then we'll just collect it inside of a barrel. And then we'll use a regular andesite funnel. I'm trying to keep the rotational energy down, but yes, this should now function. So now here it goes. Like, this is technically functioning. It is producing apples. But man, it would be faster if we had a better way of getting them into this actual depot. Now, you know what? I think this is a pretty cool method of villager trading, and I plan on building some stalls out within the next episode or so. This is going to be something that we can use and have multiple things automated. For example, ender pearls or anything like that, we should be able to have a constant supply of it, so long as we provide these setups with the initial flint. The flint will be turned into emeralds, and then emeralds traded for whatever we want. Oh, I'm so excited for this. Now, of course, if you enjoyed today's episode and you learned something new, whether it was about the trading floor or about using more Frogport logistics, let me know down in the comments below what you potentially learned. And also give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up, and don't forget to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And well, guys, without further ado, it's now time for me to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Heathen Cellist. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting my content in one of the best ways possible. Thank you so very much. And guys, I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching.